welcome to another edition of What the Fuck Happenings here in Mendham with a dodgy computer. So I'm probably making this video and it's going to get interrupted, but whatever, that's part of the fun, right? Alright, it's probably not. Anyway, so I did respond to a video about how easy it is not to be obliged, coerced, whatever, pushed into traditional role-playing of life and, living without children, which would be a good thing to learn how to do. But it's really kind of ridiculous because it's talking as if most people choose to have kids or something. And no, most people kind of just make a mistake when they're too young and too stupid. And that in hindsight it does, with a little bit of a life experience, the idea of being committed to this project of creating a human being it does seem like it's going to use an awful lot of electricity, and it's going to create all kind of dangers and risks, and what else? It's just, why do that in your living room? Just is going to really interrupt your life. And so I would argue that it's not really an issue for most people, and that it's a minority of people who really think this is the only way to live, and that I have to have a child or my life is empty and desolate and I can't find anything to do. So I laugh. It's ridiculous, right? Especially now with this internet, video games, virtual reality, all of this stuff. It seems ridiculous that you can't find something to occupy your neurons and keep you interested enough, to engage in some activity that doesn't include trying to figure out how to, push the right buttons on some kind of, whatever, human, undeveloped, unfinished, incomplete, Frankenchild. Anyway, so yeah, it was worth playing. It was worth the argument just for the sake of the comment section, which was all quite positive in the sense that, just a bunch of people confirming that their life wasn't good enough and they wouldn't impose it on somebody else. And that was the good part. At least the people watching these videos seem better than the person making them. So that's the part that's negative, is that, I guess I have dealt with this channel before. It's just surprising the number of views these videos get. And it's full of a bunch of Nietzsche stoicism, just be a selfish cunt, don't care too much, just to figure out a strategy to get yourself through your life, and that's it. I'd say it's somewhere beneath the philosophy of, I won't rape, but, I'm not going to stop rapists, It's somewhere below that. Okay, it's not really very evolved in terms of being any kind of ethics. It's just how to keep yourself with a comfortable full belly in a world full of starving people. How to deal with, they're genociding the Jews in Europe. Who cares? Not my problem. That kind of bullshit. That as long as I have heat and as long as I'm comfortable, everything's just fine. So as long as I find some way to engineer my life to take as much out of the world as I can, everything's just fine. I mean, this Walter White kind of, asshole. That kind of crap. Be the mega monster, doesn't commit any overt crimes, but commits a huge number of subtle, cruel, shit. So just, reasons not to have sex. There's so many safe ways to do it that why would you even look for reasons not to? Have sex with anything, okay? Who cares? Some people are just, I don't know, like it's all complicated. Not really. So anyway, just like I said, it's probably worth playing some of these other videos, frankly, just to provide the counter argument to this nonsense. I mean, there's actually one titled something about how to deal with narcissists, and it's just so funny that if you find any of this content at all interesting, you have to be pretty narcissistic. You really are an asshole. I mean, like the Joker, we're going to come up with it's some sort of psychology or philosophy. There's no philosophy there except be an asshole. It's really easy to break things. Let's break things. It's fun. Too stupid. All right, anyway. So I guess that's where he gets the views from, is all these kind of clickbait titles and all that kind of crap. But anyway, it's something to argue with anyway. In terms of apparently this is a big pile of humanity is sitting here worried about this kind of crap. So you say even this title, right? What the fuck? Anyway, I was just wanting to read the title. A misclick on my part, apparently. Oh, they just keep loading. There's millions of them, apparently. Oh, God. It really is maybe a million. All about, like, again, just, this is all like some sort of cheap, cruddy, superficial self-help, all built on morons. Tesla, died petting a pigeon. Nietzsche is such a good example, right, about this guy who was talking about being the best, gaining power and control, and he died powerless and controlless, and he was ruined by the very thing he argued against, which was all this emotional bullshit of, he was in love with a woman who didn't love him, and frankly, it ruined him. And the ironies are so thick. I mean, there's no point in listening to any Nietzsche's poetry because he certainly couldn't live up to his own babble. His life is just a perfect illustration of failure. And then on top of it all, his philosophy was in essence used to defend Nazi indifference. Amazing nonsense. In the sense of worthless tripe. Anyway, just don't try to stop a rapist. You might get raped. Some kind of, whatever. Some kind of nonsense of it's not your problem. And even if you sense it's somehow your problem, then you have a problem and you should figure out how not to sense it to be a problem. Don't care about anything as a way of evading, having to fix anything. Not as a way of doing anything other than selfishly protecting yourself. It's just, like I said, it just comes down to some sort of idea that you won't personally rape, but you'll watch rape porn or something. You'll finance the, help the rapist foundation. Anyway, all right, so let's just get to it, I guess. Probably the thing to do. Is this it? I don't know. Yeah, I think this is it. No, that's not it. I have to go to app. I might as well just pause and figure out what I'm doing. All right, appears to still be recording. Very good. All right, so we'll play some of this. Yeah, that'll be a good strategy. Probably will be. I probably have to do something with the volume. It's always something I have to fix. I always should do that before I hit the button, right? Yes, I should. Anyway, all right, let's see what happens. Sum or negative sum game, in the sense that you can't really win, and it always has the price of loser tied to it. So
Uh,
Yeah, so even if you win, you lose, right? I mean, if you win the gold medal, then the guy who would have won it if you didn't win it is now a loser. And, it goes all the way down. Everybody just gets knocked down a level in terms of how big they have been defeated because you showed up. You get the trophy wife, somebody didn't get the trophy wife. You ruin somebody else's fun, and you eat the cake, then somebody else can't eat the cake. I mean, in that sense, it's tied to you really are losing when you win, because if you don't fall into the trap, something else will be in the trap. I mean, the fact is there's a certain number of broken legs that are going to happen, and you evading them doesn't mean they ain't going to happen. That kind of, I call it logic, frankly. Um, and that and then even if you do win, I mean, there's all this psychological baggage that comes with it. Do I have to win twice? Do I have to win three times? How do I prove it wasn't a fluke? And so you really don't win. And then the very psychology that got you to winning, okay, it's the very psychology that's going to make you unsatisfied with any kind of just sitting on it. So again, you're going to be compulsive about trying to do some other thing and some other thing and some other thing. You're just going to want more and more. So it's like being rich. There's a point where the acquisition makes you hungry for more acquisition. You get, you get 5 or 6 unnecessary extra vehicles. You start wanting 10 or 12 unnecessary extra vehicles. I mean, that kind of crap. Um, it's just all negative psychology, frankly. That's the only kind of psychology we have, pretty much.
be the mother of your children. So what?
Oh, so the video started with Jordan Peterson making some little trite nonsense statement about how, if you don't have kids, you're going to want to have them. Well, it's 65 years. I'm still waiting. 64. Yeah, I don't think so, Jordan. Wrong prediction. Fuck face. He really does have a fucked up face. What I just such an asshole.
What does that even mean? Who's he talking to? I guess he's obviously not talking to the mothers of the children.
Yeah. So that's the other part of it. You know, he thinks that women don't really play a role in the function of human society. There's something to talk about. Anyway, funny. I mean, as I'm on the internet, I have to admit that you get into this idea that yes, I'm just talking to a bunch of dopey 15-year-olds. So yeah, that does sort of end up in your psychology.
The planet has too many people on it. You might say a lot of things. That would be just an excuse for me personally. I wouldn't want them where the
Yeah, so I don't need excuses not to have kids. There's just no reason to do it. I mean, and there's a ton of reasons not to. So that makes it really easy. And, the idea is the whole point of this, you're alive and you're in a circumstance where you could argue that the only thing that's valuable is brains, okay, their state of being, and that yours isn't special and yours isn't unique in any meaningful way. And that all you're really doing is saying, well, I'm going to go into this condo, whatever, this timeshare, and my responsibility is to leave it at least as good as how I got it. And that's all there is to try to figure out how to make an improvement in the state of the overall condition. And it really is an overall condition. So it's pretty easy to do these rescues, to save people from drowning. And but you have to understand that that's sort of the obligation when you're alive, is to make the most of your existence by somehow elevating all the boats, kind of thing. Lifting yours isn't the winning strategy, and that's the Nietzschean strategy. just the wrong attitude.
A, worrying about whether I have put covers over all the outlets.
Yeah, so yeah, unfortunately, this is mostly about how having kids is it's just why I don't even know. I can't even imagine how somebody could think about it for just even 5 minutes and just go through all of the things that are going to happen, that can happen, and not understand how it would just be so irritating. You know, it's like even just having a house and having to worry about nobody left the gas on, right? Nobody left the stove on. Nobody did anything stupid, right? There's no lamps, next to paper or something. There's no, just all those little nuisance thoughts that pop into your head if you were going on a vacation and just, oh, did I check this and I did check that? Did I turn this off? Did I turn the water off even? What if a pipe breaks while we're gone? What if something stupid happens while we're gone? Who wants to? And that's all kids are. Is just this. If you take it at all seriously, you're just going to start thinking about all the things you're not going to be ready for, and you're not going to be prepared for, and you're not going to be able to fix, or and then you're going to end up spending the rest of your life feeling guilty for having completely fucked up. There, I'm done. No, I'm not having kids. No, thank you.
Because, yeah, a few things were getting a little nutty. Open borders and.
Okay, so I was just talking about why this piece of human garbage became a person that anybody listened to. And yeah, it's unfortunately it was liberals just asking for it. They just started being way too silly and demanding way too much from everybody else and saying they're entitled and they want, I mean, I use the term $1 billion worth of Band-Aids. They're all crippled and they're all, in some way they've been burdened and they're carrying all this stuff, and they need everybody else to take care of them. And everybody else has to placate any problem they have in their psychology. And they all, it's just really stupid. The world can't work that way. It's almost going back to the 60s and these morons who would, suggest people living in collectives and communes. And it was just so obvious that, two people do, it's Animal Farm or whatever, that two animals do all the work and the rest of them just sit like pigs and smoke pot and, fart and think they're entitled. Yeah. Anyway. But yeah, he wouldn't be anybody, like I said, he's liberal jackass, the frickin' revenge of people being, again, just stupid. I mean, you give them an inch and they try to take miles. You give them if you gave them their 50 acres and a mule, then they'd say, where's my Rolls Royce? I mean, humans are just so fucking stupid.
Probably some pretty suck-ass fuckers.
That if you don't want children, you are deluded and immature. He uses the action.
Yes, okay, so, yes, that's it. He actually said you're deluded if you don't want children. I made the argument that your ancestors had such a much more enlightened view on the meaning of life. People who believed in squirrel gods. I use the example of they threw virgins into volcanoes. I should go back to that logical brilliance. Anyway. I mean, just what the past people did in the past, you just don't even understand how they did it. I mean, how they could possibly keep doing it. How they wouldn't be put off on the whole thing. I mean, after watching one or two of your kids die, isn't that more than enough? Wouldn't that put you off on the whole thing? No, not people. No, people can watch other people suffer forever, apparently. It's one of their favorite TV shows. And that's just sadly true also, right? I mean, I really knew I was on a scary planet when shows like 911 and Cops became popular, and it was like, how could people enjoy watching this, especially like after dinner or something? How could they enjoy watching this? Scared the fuck out of me.
Who, went around the world, saw all this, kind of.
Yeah, well, whatever. Oh, Darwin. So yeah, so he was bringing up all these people who didn't have kids, and obviously there's so many. I mean, he could put Tesla in this group. He could put lots of people in this group. Especially accomplished people. Yeah, a lot of them were accomplished because they didn't have this terrible distraction. The ones that had kids probably didn't spend all that much time with them, obviously. And just let be the wife's responsibility, And, well, whatever. Just such a, whatever, such a bad idea. So anyway, moving on.
People who have soiled and destroyed their own country.
Okay, so I do take a little shot at the whole liberal thing of turning, poor, ignorant pigs into fucking some kind of hero. The huddled masses of rude, obnoxious, jackass, religious fucktards, and somehow we have to love them all. Yuck. Really a bad idea.
Well, the lemmings jump off the cliff. You really do kind of keep wanting to do that, don't you?
Okay, so I guess they're still sort of talking a little bit about this, like there's some sort of psychology to people having kids, when we know it's not much psychology. The vast majority of them have kids because they don't even think about it. They're just little animals, okay? And the little animals get horny, and the little animals have sex without thinking about the consequences. And so they end up having kids. And once a woman has one, she might as well just say, fuck, I might as well have 10, I guess. I don't know. I'm not even going to try to understand the psychology of women.
Visit you versus having children, not having children that never visit you. Yeah, like, whoa, that's a real...
Yeah, so it's kind of a funny, in the modern age to even talk about how somehow your family infrastructure is going to save you when you get the Alzheimer's and end up in the nursing home. Oh yeah, it makes such a huge difference. I'm sure all the people who have forgotten who they are, drooling in the nursing home, it really matters that you have a nice supportive family somewhere on Earth. Somewhere on Earth, your kids are eating cake, while you poo your pants. And that, it'll be such a comforting thing, Hilarious. It is hilarious. I mean, the whole idea of it, right? I mean, from both sides, it's just so evil. That somebody would have kids so they could take care of them is so creepy. What else was going? It's just so selfish. Yuck. And then the idea that somehow a kid should be responsible for, somehow they owe. No, they don't. Okay, anyway.
You're such an example of somebody who shouldn't breed.
It's another shot at Jordan Peterson, actually. So anyway, this was sort of a good image, just in the idea of, I was just making the point that if you educate a kid or give them, these puzzles to solve, and this idea of recognizing the shortest path to it from point A to point B, they get a little bit of intelligence, a little bit of knowledge about how you can engineer solutions, that you can plan, that you can map out the territory. As soon as they do a little bit of that, it's going to be pretty easy to map out the negative territory of being a slave to whatever Frankenstein experiments.
You pay the price after you make the decision, not before.
So all of this is sort of pointless if you're not going to do anything to stop people from having kids before they've done any of this getting educated thing. because all of this is useless to the uneducated. So it's a useless conversation, useless, all this stuff. I mean, what you really have to talk about is your strategy to create mechanisms in civilization that discourage people from being reckless and stupid. So you have to have some sort of law, like I've suggested that we could just pay every 18-year-old $5,000 if they don't have any speeding tickets and they haven't made any illegitimate children. If they haven't violated a few little civil laws, that we reward them. So it's all carrots, and you could just fuck up getting your carrots. Make it that simple, and that might be just enough. And it's so much cheaper. I mean, for every $5,000 you pay out, you're going to gain, so much more, because guess what? It costs you, $50,000 or $60,000 a year to put one of these morons in jail. And then it probably costs $100,000 a year for every illegitimate kid born, every welfare kid. So why the fuck wouldn't you sit there and, pay this much smaller price of prevention? And, we can't get civilization to go there because people are religious kooks. The Jordan Petersons are in the way.
That's what people were. That's how the people were enslaved. That's how they lived. Boy, this little.
Yeah. So now I just complained about how this painting didn't make any sense, because it seems to have little people mixed in with the regular people. It didn't make any sense. And if you're going to be painting people, you should paint them a little more attractive. So if you assume that these people have been painted more attractive, they're still really ugly. Yeah, it's really funny. Well, tragically so. I don't know why you would paint ugly people in the first place, but whatever.
For example, marriage is less common these days than in...
Yeah, so exactly. Marriage is less common, kids are less common in civilized countries. So if people, it's civilized enough to have bicycles, people aren't having kids. So even just get a tiny bit of civilization, and that's all you need. Just a little tiny bit. And the whole reproduction thing is over.
That anecdote means much. So he knew when the baby happened.
Oh, okay. So he was talking about his own experience with how the priest would visit every year and make sure the vagina was, take his flashlight and make sure the vagina is ready for baby making or something, or give some speech about how you should be making more babies, and somehow that's what drove people to have kids, when now we know what. It's a bad habit, and you acquire. It's like cigarettes or something. You smoke a cigarette when you're 11 years old, and then you're stuck doing it for the rest of your life. So if you don't make the mistake as a dumb, ignorant kid, it's very unlikely you're going to end up making the mistake later. I mean, there are a few exceptions. The purists, the fucking retards, who pick up the habit when they're 40.
And these are the. You just don't need to see it too often, too many times.
Yeah, I mean, how many people do you have to watch horribly die before you figure out, hey, you know what? This is probably a real, non-starter. This is a game breaker. Let's not bother playing if this is if it includes this. Oh yeah, I know I'm not going to give somebody that gift. Here's the gift of dying horribly. Oh yeah, no, I'm not going to even try to put that in wrapping paper and give it to somebody. Come on. I would be such an asshole. So I mean, how much of the horror do you have to actually witness before you figure out, well, I don't think I'm going to force somebody else to do this. I mean, really, it's just not brain surgery.
Just being childless, it's having some sort of perspective about how the universe works.
So that was the only good thing about the video. It did talk a little bit about this, this universal point, and and that's what it really comes down to, is understanding our place. And again, understanding your place just is realizing that all that's really going to matter is did sentient brains on planet Earth do better with you on the planet, or would they have been better off if you never showed up? And that's the only question you need to, try to make the answer say yes, you made it better than it would have been, and that's all you can really hope for. Well, you can aspire to be, save everybody and fix everything. It's just not very likely.
Kooks have some theory that we're doing something so precious.
That it's worth giving kids cancer. I mean, it's really just so simple. I mean, why the fuck would you think? Why would somebody think the human race is actually doing something to be worth all the sad torment that has to be experienced, and the hard pain that has to be experienced? How could they possibly imagine what this song and dance, as I put it? But I mean, it's almost that trivial, because I can't find anything. What are we doing? What are we fixing by being here? And what is the side effect is all of this horror. All the horror only exists because we think we need to. And that's it. There isn't anything else to the story. This silly notion that we need to exist. Why do we need to exist? What will be the horrible consequence of our non-existence? Oh, no more cancer. Well, it seems to me that's that's sort of the end of the whole thinking process. We're done having to think about it anymore.
My grandmother actually wanted to be a war correspondent.
Okay, why would you want to be a war correspondent? Even that doesn't even sound at all genuine. I mean, I guess his grandmother was a bit of a Nietzschean or something. I mean, why the fuck would you want to be a war correspondent? I mean, I don't know. It's like, I want to be a sewage pipe cleaner. I mean, what the hell? I mean, it's kind of one of the worst possible jobs you could possibly want. So I don't know. But yes, that bullshit. And then she had 18 kids or something. He says, I think she wanted it for 10 minutes. I wanted lots of things. So, when I was a kid, every 3 weeks she asked me the question, what do you want? Oh, I want to be a zookeeper. I want to be, just depending on what mood I was in.
Scared to death. Not spending every moment of my life scared to death that I haven't protected my children well enough.
I mean, I just can't imagine how you could be a parent and not be totally dragged into the mire of despondency by just the fact that there's no way I can do this. I can't put enough bars in the window. I can't spend enough time sweeping the path in front of my kid. I mean, there's not enough ways that I can control the external world to prevent my kid from being perverted and distorted and polluted by shit. Toxically injected, with the memes and norms, sticking diamonds in his nose or some other kind of silly crap. All the liabilities of just being a complete fucktard. How do I stop it from getting fucktardia? I mean, I don't, how the fuck could anybody be a parent and not be? And the fact is they can be, because they are imbeciles. It's that simple. They're parents because they were stupid, and they still remain stupid. So yeah, they don't even know that they have this responsibility. It doesn't even occur to them that it's my fault the kid is here, and it's going to be my responsibility if the kid fucks up. It's my fault. They don't even think. Haven't even figured it out that it's their robot and they're responsible. It's like people own dogs and they just let them out at the door and just say, it's not my problem if you chew somebody's face off. Too stupid. All right, so that appears to be a video. So I think there was, I have to look up some comment. Somebody in the comment section, they always do this. Oh, could you have a live stream so I could make inane little statements in the comment section or something? You just say, can't you make your comments in the comment section? What's the big deal? Is it that hard to do? So I guess I should go check and see if there's some comments there. I'm back. So there was some comment about this one. I didn't really. I mean, it's this foreign language thing, I guess, a little bit, whatever. So somebody says, okay, my comment is marked as spam. What do you mean by winning the war? I never understood it. Well, it's this ideological war against the pro-lifers. I mean, there's people who are pro-life, okay, and then there's people like me who are, we call ourselves ethalists, life spelled backwards. So there's people who think life is a horrible, awful, toxic imposition, and people who think life is some sort of charming, wonderful adventure. And you're winning an ideological, a point of view war, okay, where you're saying that's really stupid, and you're going to try to get people not to be stupid. I mean, it's the war against stupid, the war against ignorance, the war against underthinking. That, you could think of it in lots of different ways, but that's the war you want to win. So then you don't have to have some kind of real war, where you actually have to kill them all or something. Yeah, you actually don't want to have a shooting war. You want to win the war of just people recognizing that it's stupid to be cruel. Right. I do not understand how you can ask this question seeing your amazing ephilism content. Yes, that is a little surprising. He's, he understands the philosophy. I just don't understand how he doesn't understand how it is a philosophical war. So I guess that's just how he's taking the word war too literally or something. Does the word war should be understood as and kept as philosophical position that we are going to keep propagating on internet, or shall we maybe take it to the next level? But we don't take it to any levels until you have to take it to the next level. Okay, you have to finish the level you're on before you go to the next level. So you don't start dropping bombs while your ambassador is still on a boat heading for the other country with the peace treaty. Okay, you don't. So first, yes, you try as hard as you can to find a way of evading a shooting war. And that's the whole point. You want as few people involved in the war, kind of thing. Get everybody to decide they don't want to be in a war, and so then there's only 10 people that have to have the war, something like that. There were other comments I wrote, but I believe they were either removed or marked as spam, as I was mentioning some violent acts towards meat industry around the world. Yeah, well, I've repeatedly pointed out how I'm not a big fan of act up kind of activism. So I don't think you fix the problem you don't fix bad behavior with bad behavior, in my opinion. And we're not at a point where you resort to that kind of stuff. The sad fact, though, is that some of that crap actually does get people to pay attention. I mean, the fact is you're not supposed to negotiate with terrorists, right? Because then terrorists can win. So that's the whole point, is that you want to try to stop the terrorism by making it effective, by allowing extortion to work, And unfortunately, human beings are human beings, and so sometimes it does work. And that's why there still are terrorists, because it does work. It does raise awareness, and it does do this, and it does do that. And so they end up getting rewarded for doing something dismally horrible. And we should do everything we can to prevent it from working that way. But anyway, okay. So this guy says, nice video, Gary. Can you stream live, please, just once? I have some interesting arguments to make. And you're just like, oh, yeah, sure you do. Anyway. Let's see. And then they talk about whatever, YouTube. Please, if you're not an F-list, don't make inmendham waste his time. Well, that's nice of you to consider me. Why can't you post your interesting arguments here? So that's what I said. Okay, one of my arguments, for example, about reincarnation, where you said we will be born again and live again, but I don't think that's the case. So I never said anything like that, okay, in the sense that every single time, without exception, that I have brought up the term that we will, there was a term Nietzsche used for it, but anyway, that we will essentially be redundantly writing another story, and it doesn't matter whether their names are Romeo and Juliet. Their names can be Jim and Jane, okay? But the same story is going to be written, all right? They can have blonde hair versus dark hair. You can have a mustache or no mustache. There's going to be trivial differences, but it's all going to be the same awful puke. You can't understand that? That yeah, it might have different. One puke pile has corn in it, and one has tomatoes, and you can sit there and be particular about what exactly it looks like, but it's still in the category of puke. You can't understand, you fucking dumb cunt. I mean, really, it's just so stupid. I'm not talking about you coming back. Okay, fully informed of your past life and full of energy from your past life, and you're still doing the same agenda. No, none of that, shithead. I'm just saying that out of these billions of people, there's only about 100 varieties, and you can put them in these categories. And you might as well just have 100 names. Let's just say 100 male names and 100 female names. And you can just put them in the category of, yeah, that's just another Jane. That's just another Bob. And they're in a category of, fat, stupid, thin, evil, whatever. Come on. It's not that hard to figure out. All right, just because Einstein said energy cannot be destroyed doesn't mean we will be born as humans again. The same with other animals. Again, there's absolutely no video where I don't make it clear I'm not talking about any explicit reincarnation in some sense that your whole identity is somehow preserved and you move into another body. So fuck you. Ugh, this is your important commenting, huh? I understand energy cannot be destroyed, but it doesn't necessarily mean you'll be born as a human specifically, maybe not even born as animal. Oh, just fuck you in this nonsense. It's reoccurrence. That's the term Nietzsche used. And nobody sits there and says, oh, Nietzsche was a religious person who believed in reincarnation, because he used the word reoccurrence. What's the difference? It's just this redundancy. Don't you understand that it's the same formula? You have a little kid, he gets molested, and when he's a little kid, then he turns into a molester. There's these patterns that are lived over and over and over again, shithead. God. All right, so anyway, that's all he typed. So, okay. Boy, that was really interesting. It's been done so many times. I guess that's part of it too. Even though every video I'm very careful in how I use the word, these assholes always show up and say, well, you were religious? No, I'm not. I'm just arguing that guess what? Right now there's going to be some kid born and his life is going to it's going to follow a very similar ebb and flow, okay? And he's going to end up very similar in terms of how he perceives the world that maybe I did when I was 16. Maybe that as 16-year-olds, our identities are going to be so similar in the sense of our personal experiences are going to be so similar that we're going to have very similar ideological perspectives. And that's what I'm arguing, is that dying doesn't end the process. You will be obliged to recreate the monster you were, in the sense that the system is going to recreate a Frankenstein very similar to the one you were. and it's going to be feeling, its aliveness is going to be essentially the same aliveness that you have, and its jeopardy and its fear and all of that is going to be very similar. It might as well be a reincarnation, is the point. Fuck. People are just so fucking dense. You gotta go over this stuff with all this little minutia. They try to, distract with their minutia. Anyway, all right. So that's enough of a video now. Anyway, so at least the computer didn't freeze, so that's good. So till the next time and such and so forth and whatnot. And yeah, so I guess I'll go through that big 100 piles of nihilist stoicism crapola videos, and maybe we'll do a couple of them. But yes, it's a scary, the fact that the channel has 2 million subscribers, and you're saying, what kind of asshole could listen to this tripe about, I'm doing fine. If I do fine, everything's fine. All I have to do is, the world doesn't matter. Oh, just learn how to breathe the stink. It's only a minor inconvenience, the screaming and the yelling. Just don't pay any attention. Yeah, it's just so, not with the victims don't need these anti-heroes. Okay, anyway, till the next time and such and so forth and whatnot. That's enough.